You do not need to do all of this at once. And I've said it before, so I'm just making sure that you hear me. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. Slow down. You just need to stop abandoning yourself in small ways. Just start small. That's it. Start small. I'm not asking you to just do a whole bunch. I don't want you to feel pressure as you take this journey. Start with one habit, one decision, one promise you keep to yourself. Because every time you do that, you are casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And I'm all for that, by the way. And I know some days are going to be hard. They are going to be hard, so I'm giving you warning. Some days you're going to be tired. You're going to feel tired and drained. And some days you're not going to feel like showing up. And that's normal. But those are the days that matter the most. Because those are the days where your identity is being built. Welcome to Win-Win with Gwen, hosted by Gwendolyn Shores, author, inspirational speaker, transformational coach, and CEO of Minds Above Matters. This is the podcast where your dreams ignite, limits shatter, and action leads to the life that you deserve. Your breakthrough starts now. 4 o'clock a.m. is a strange time of the morning. I'm just going to let you know right now, it's a strange time. It's that hour where the world hasn't quite decided to wake up yet, but your soul has decided that it's done sleeping. Oh, your soul decided just like that to wake up. And I'm not talking about the peaceful kind of waking up either. I'm talking about the kind where your eyes snap open, you're pitch black, and you are already feeling exhausted. That kind of tired, sleep can never fix, by the way. You're laying there, the room is quiet. I'm talking dead quiet, and there you are just staring at the ceiling. And your mind is a riot. I remember laying there staring at the ceiling. I couldn't even see the ceiling. It was dark. I was feeling this weight sitting on my chest like a physical presence. It felt like something was desperately wrong, but I couldn't put a name to it. You ever woke up and just felt uneasy, stressed? Your life can look perfect, or just something doesn't feel right. Something inside is screaming, I'm slipping. Something is saying slowly, quietly, and consistently, something is wrong. And the scariest part about that 4 o'clock realization is that it didn't look like a breakdown. I couldn't name what it was, but I knew I wasn't having a breakdown. It looked like normal life. It looked like I'll start the workout next week. It looked like I don't have time to cook right now, so I just grabbed something quick. It looked like the blue light on my phone burning my eyes at 2 a.m. in the morning because I was scrolling, and I was just scrolling just to keep from thinking. It looks like me finding things to occupy my mind because something's going on that I can't put my finger on. It was those little things, but those little things, they were stacking up. Those little things, they were like bricks on my chest. I could feel it in my body. My energy felt like a ghost of what it used to be. My patience was thin, like one more thing, and I could snap. You ever felt like that? My mind was foggy, like I couldn't think clearly, no matter how hard I tried. And my confidence was shaking. How could I look so good in the eyes of others and in my behaviors and actions? I wasn't showing up as the woman I knew I was capable of being. Something just wasn't right. And I remember sitting on the edge of my bed in the morning with my feet on the cold wooden floor in my bedroom. And I just whispered into the silence. There wasn't nobody around but me. And yes, I talk to myself sometimes when I'm by myself. I do. Ask myself, how did I get here? And the answer came back just as quiet. I got there one small decision at a time. And that's when it hit me. I realized that nothing in my life was going to change until I changed what I was doing daily. Not in a dramatic overnight, live your whole life. Well, it wasn't going to happen like that, but in small, intentional, consistent ways. The same way those things built up on me was the same way I was going to have to bring them off of me. And that right there is why we're having this conversation today. Welcome back, guys, to the Win-Win with Gwen podcast, the place where we don't just talk about change. We do the work that it takes to create the change that we want to see in our lives. This show right here It's for the ones who know they were made for more. But life, trauma, fear, or habits keep pulling us down, pulling us out of alignment. Here we talk healing, mindset, relationships, breakthroughs, because your future cannot afford your past running the show. And that's why we do the work that we do here on the Win with Gwen podcast. And I'm your host, Transformational Coach Gwendolyn Shores. And today, guys, you and we are setting ourselves up to win. Because what I learned in that season of my life is this. You know what I was just talking about earlier. I learned that you don't fall apart all at once. It don't happen like that, honey. You drift. And if you're not intentional, you will drift into a version of yourself that you don't recognize anymore. And that's not good. So I didn't try to fix everything at once. I want to let you know that, and you shouldn't either. I started with one thing I can control, one thing that I could control easily, and that was movement. Not because I was trying to change how I looked, but because I needed to change how I showed up. You understand? It's not about what you look like. It's about how you show up. I needed to prove to myself that I could do something hard, even when it didn't feel like I could, even when it didn't look possible. So I made a rule. And that rule is no negotiation. If I said I was going to move my body, honey, I'll move my body. I didn't lie to myself. You can lie to other people, baby, but when you start to lie to yourself, honey, you in trouble. Some days it was a full workout. Some days it was a walk. Some days it was stretching on the floor. But I moved. I did something. I showed up for me. I showed up every single day with movement. And so can you. And what that did for me wasn't just physical. It rebuilt trust. I began to trust that I would do what I needed to do for myself. Because every time you say you're going to do something and you don't, you break trust with yourself. And that's something we're going to have to stop. If you're guilty of that, it stops today. And every time you follow through, you're going to rebuild that trust. So meet yourself where you are and make small decisions and do them. That's where confidence actually comes from. It doesn't come from compliments. You don't need nobody telling you, good job. You need to get moving. You don't need validation. You don't need follow throughs. You don't need none of that. And look, once I felt that shift, I realized something else had to change. So I started there. I made that happen. And then I was on to my next move, because when something don't feel right, that means it's time to do the work. So let's talk about my phone, because I had been waking up and immediately handing my mind over to the world. Ooh, social media had me, honey. It had me. Messages, notifications, social media, other people's opinions, other people's lives. Well, I was into everybody, something else, but I wasn't into me. I was forgetting about me, honey. You can't forget about you. You are the most important person. Before I even checked in with myself, I checked in with somebody else. So I created a boundary that felt uncomfortable at first, but that boundary that I put up, it changed everything. What I did there, 2 hours in the morning, 1 hour at night, I didn't come close to a phone. I pulled that out of my life. And let me tell you what happened when I did that. At first, it was quiet. It was too quiet. And I was irritable. It felt like I was breaking an addiction. I even felt myself reaching for it and have to pull myself back and talk myself out of it. I became my own motivational speaker. Look, because when you remove distractions, you meet yourself. I was having to face myself in those times where I removed that. My thoughts, my habits, my patterns. I had to face all of that. And the truth is, that can feel uncomfortable if you've been avoiding it. But that space right there, that's the space where clarity lives. If you're living in confusion and don't know why you feel a certain way, you've got to take these steps I'm talking about, because that space is where direction comes from. Create a space. Remove something. That space is where you stop reacting and start choosing. So if your mind feels chaotic, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel scattered, just don't know which direction you're going in next, I want you to try this, okay? I want you to give yourself one morning, just one. That's all I'm asking you to do. One morning where you don't touch your phone right away. And just sit there with yourself and move your body. Drink your water. Think your own thoughts before you consume the world. Think about what your day is like for you, not what you have to do for somebody else. Think about what you need. That one shift can change your entire day. And from there, I realized I needed to get my life out of my head. Because my head was spinning, like I told you earlier. Because trying to remember everything, juggling everything, think about everything, that was creating mental exhaustion. And that's why I was waking up tired. So another thing I did was I started writing things down. I got me a little journal. I started planning my days. I started getting clear on what actually mattered in my life for my health, my spirituality, my finances, my friends, my family. I had clarity because when everything feels important, nothing gets done well. Yeah, it's a lot of important things, but you got to have clarity. You got to know where to start. So I created 2 categories in my life, okay? And you can write this down and use it. I hope you use it if this sounds like something you need to do. Non-negotiables. And non-negotiables are the things that move your life forward, okay? And extras are the things you do if you have the energy. That one shift alone will protect your peace. You want to protect your peace? Start there because now your days have structure without pressure. You know where you're going. You know what you need to do. I had to get honest about how I was fueling my body because food isn't just about weight. You know, we always think we have to cut calories and do this for the weight, but it's not about the weight. It's about energy. It's about clarity. It's about how you feel throughout your day. And I realized I had been feeding myself based on convenience, not intention. Baby, I'm always talking about intention, honey. Intention is everything. You got to get intentional about your life if you've not already done so. So I didn't try to become perfect overnight because it ain't gonna happen no way. But I was intentional about understanding that. I just started preparing more of my own food. Simple, clean. It didn't have to be all fancy. It didn't have to be full of, additives and preservatives and all that. Things that just made me feel better, not worse. I didn't feel heavy after I ate. I felt good about what I was eating. And when your body feels better, your mind follows, honey. Your energy follows. Your discipline follows. Because whether you know it or not, everything is connected. Everything has a chain reaction. That's when I created my reset. I created a reset. Sunday was a day because it was a day where I could check in with my life before life checks me. I plan my week on Sundays. I prepare what I can. I created direction so I'm not waking up every day reacting. Because look, if you don't plan your life, and this is simple. If you don't plan your life will plan you. And most of the time, it won't be in your favor. It ain't gonna be in your favor. I also made a decision to keep growing, not occasionally, but daily. Every day, I was consciously aware of doing something to help me grow. Even if it was just listening to something while I walk, positive music, YouTube videos, or audio book or something, because if you're not feeding your mind, your environment will do it for you, honey. And your environment is trying to look out for itself. You need to look out for you because your environment doesn't always have your best interest at heart either. That's your job. So you have to be intentional about what you allow inside that beautiful mind of yours. I also built in something most people overlook, and this don't cost you nothing. It's called stillness. I built stillness into my life. I grabbed a hold to quiet moments, time to just sit, reflect, journal, and breathe. Because if you never slow down, you will never notice when you're out of alignment. You will be like I was in the beginning, wondering why you're staring at the ceiling in the dark. And if you don't notice it, honey, you can't fix it. So if you're feeling the way I described or what I talked about when I first started this, these are the things you need to do. And I want to give you this right here also. Listen to this. Your life changes the moment your habit stops betraying your goals. If you have the wrong habits, you can't hit the right goals. Okay? I want you to read what I just said again in your spirit because a lot of us have goals. Do you have goals? I know you do. But our daily habits are working against them. And that's the gap. That gap, that's where frustration lives. So when we close the gap, one habit at a time. Now, again, I'm not telling you go run out there and try to do everything at one time and get overwhelmed. one habit at a time. And at the same time, when I did that, I gave myself something I didn't even realize I needed. I gave myself space, time with no agenda. I created some space in my life, time where I wasn't performing, where I wasn't producing or proving anything to anyone. I was just being. And so many of us, we forgot to just be, because you cannot heal in constant pressure. That's your space to heal, honey. You cannot grow if you never breathe. That's how important this is to me, for you, and for me. And through all of this, I learned the most important habit of all. Flexibility. Because if your routine only works when life is perfect, it's not a real routine, honey. Life is going to happen, and you know that. You know that life is going to happen. Things will shift. Stuff will happen, honey. The grits will hit the pan. Energy will change. People will change. And you have to learn how to adjust without quitting. You can't give up on you, baby. That's the difference between discipline and burnout. Now, I know you've been listening, but I want you to listen very closely to what I'm about to say. You do not need to do all of this at once. And I've said it before, so I'm just making sure that you hear me. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. Slow down. You just need to stop abandoning yourself in small ways. Just start small. That's it. Start small. I'm not asking you to just do a whole bunch. I don't want you to feel pressure as you take this journey. Start with one habit, one decision, one promise you keep to yourself. Because every time you do that, you are casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And I'm all for that, by the way. And I know some days are going to be hard. They are going to be hard, so I'm giving you warning. Some days you're going to be tired. You're going to feel tired and drained. And some days you're not going to feel like showing up. And that's normal. But those are the days that matter the most. Because those are the days where your identity is being built. Hear me clear again. Come on, listen up now. Listen up. Because I haven't told you this today, but I got to tell you right now. I want you to know that I believe in you. And I'm not talking about halfway. I ain't talking about I believe in you sometimes, honey. I'm talking about I believe in you 101% because I know what it takes to sit in that moment and realize something has to change. And the fact that you're right here, right now with me on the Win-Win with Gwen podcast, it tells me that you're already moving, honey, because you couldn't get there had you not took movement or made movement. And I'm proud of you. I really am proud of you. So give yourself some credit, sweetheart. You didn't have to press play something that challenges your growth. So many people are walking away from growth because it's challenging. It takes work. But they're not happy with that decision. But you did that. You did that. And that says everything about who you are becoming. And listen, if something in this podcast episode spoke to you, don't you keep it to yourself. Don't you be a gatekeeper. Don't be a gatekeeper with growth. I want you to share this with someone who needs it. Go ahead, stop and hit the send button, share button, whatever it takes. Get it to somebody who could use it because you never know who's one decision away from changing their entire life. Do me this favor before I go. I want you to make sure that you follow, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on those notifications because one of these episodes is going to meet you exactly where you are. It's going to be something that you need to change your entire life, to make your life unrecognizable in a great way. So turn on that notification. And before we close, I want to give you something real. Coach Gwendolyn wants to give you something real. I want you to pause for a second. I want you to just sit there and listen. I want you to acknowledge yourself. Can you do that for me? Because growth is not easy. Healing isn't easy. Choosing yourself when it would be easier to stay the same. That ain't easy, sweetheart. That takes strength. So if nobody told you today, I see you. I love you and I believe in you. And that's why I know that you can do the work. And I say it every episode. And today is no different. You've got to do the work. And look, if you don't fully believe in yourself, just borrow my belief in you until you do, because I've got you. Yes, Coach Gwendolyn has got you. I want you to keep going. Don't give up. Guys, I'll meet you right back here on the next episode, Friday at 6:30 a.m. because it's always a win-win with Gwen. And I can't wait to see you again so that you can leave a message for me in the comments and tell me how your week went, how you've been applying all of the things that you've been getting from the Win-Win with Gwen podcast, not just from me, but from other people who listen and drop comments. And don't stop with the Win-Win with Gwen podcast. You keep finding other tools that will help you become the best version of yourself. I love what I'm seeing, and you should too, because we're seeing one of this planet's greatest people in the making. I love you. High fives. Give yourself a high five as we end this podcast. I love you. See you on the next podcast episode.